Someone once said that true wealth is what's left over after all the money is gone. I think there's been a lot of discussion worldwide, really, on the blogs and different places about what is true wealth and what is meaningful, and how do you mix money and financial assets with purpose and meaning. The word balance seems to show up. You know, I think back when I was growing up, and my father used to go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't see him all day long until 7 or 8 at night. And one of the things that was missing in his life, and he said several times, is he didn't have a balance between work and a balance between those things that mattered most, which was his family. Is that really the answer? Is it really something that balance? So if I have equal time with my family or I have equal time with work, am I really answering the equation? If I look at my watch and say, okay, I spent 4 hours at work, I need to spend 4 hours with my family, am I going to really get the benefit from doing it that way? I don't think so. For us, what it comes down to is what we refer to as dynamic balance. Dynamic balance is that ability to be able to touch the 4 quadrants. Now, some of you may not know what the 4 quadrants are yet. You may not have read our book or may not have been exposed to it. Let me just briefly tell you what they are. When I say the word wealth, what do you think of? Most people think of money, stocks and bonds, real estate, things of this nature. So it's the things we'd find on our balance sheet, or what we call financial wealth or financial assets. Are there assets that you value more than your financial assets? So we have another quadrant that we call our core assets, which includes our family, which includes our health, which includes our values and beliefs, our spirituality, our unique ability. So the question I ask you is, would you trade your family for more of the financial? Would you trade your values for more of the financial? Would you trade your health for more of the financial? I don't think so. So we call those the core assets or the core wealth that we have. And it kind of transcends everything else. But there's another category of wealth that we call our experience assets. Education is an experience asset. We wouldn't trade it for more money if we lost it altogether. Both the good and the bad experiences that we have are considered to be experience assets. But also things like our reputation, the networks that we have, the alliances that we make, the way we do things, the skills that we have, the travels that we make, and all of the wonderful things like that. Those are all experiences that are very, very valuable to us. And oftentimes we consider those to be even worth more than our financial assets. The fourth area, which we've found to be extremely powerful, is what we call our contribution assets. Some people like to call it our active gratitude assets, the way that we give back, the way that we give forward in terms of what we give back to society and the difference that we can make that way. It really is the glue that holds the others all together. So you look at those 4 general categories of assets and ask yourself, how does that relate to being balanced? How does that relate to being able to have balance in my life? Are you saying, Lee, that I need to have equal weighting in all 4 areas to have balance? No, that's not what we're saying. What we're really saying is you need to be in contact. You need to be sensitive to each of those 4 areas all the time and not get so involved in one area that you forget the benefit of the other areas. So it's this common balance that goes. Once you have a vision of where you're going, what we call clarity, and you know where you're going, clarity always gives you that energy. And once you know where you're going, you want to get there fast. And the way you get there fast is by being in what we call now this dynamic balance. Recently I had the opportunity to, for the first time in my life, and I have to tell you, it was not on my bucket list. It was not on my list of things to do. But I had the opportunity to go out and do some rock climbing. Now, my wife Lorian and I were camp parents with 15 young adults that are cancer survivors that were at a high adventure camp up in the Moab Mountains. And so I watched these campers, many of whom had never, ever mountain climbed before, and many of them that were living with cancer, some in 4th stage, battle it out, never said a negative word, completely positive the entire time. Fingertips are bleeding from grabbing the rocks and pinching them in, and the rocks were so hot it created blisters on their fingers. Not one negative word. So inspired me, except for the fact that I also watched them on probably the toughest rock that they had to climb over on Wall Street. It was one straight up. I watched 2 guys that had climbed before climb up it, and they used their technique and they did it very well. I watched another guy, a 21-year-old good athlete, struggle. I mean, he didn't have the technique, but he had to fight his way all the way up to the top. And when I saw him go, what I resolved was, this is not for me. This is good for them, not for me. He took almost an hour to go that 85 feet and came down and just laid exhausted on the ground. And wouldn't you know then that pretty soon the campers came up to me, and we all have a nickname. Mine was Wacky. And they said, hey, Wacky, you should try that. You can do it. What else could I say? So as much as I didn't want to, I had to change my mindset and say, okay, I can get from here to there, 85 feet up on a straight rock ledge with very little points to grab hold of. And if they were there, they were not more than maybe 1/4 of an inch wide, with little cracks that you had to stick your finger in. And somehow, I started on it, and it took me forever just to get 10 feet. And then forever more as I continued climbing. And I had to use every bit of my muscle. But what I learned about this is I've got 4 different appendages that I had to put into balance and climbing up. In some ways I had no idea about. And so as I felt like I was getting in one particular area, I can remember the guide saying to me, the expert saying, Lee, put your left hand out. You need to create that balance there. You don't really grab hold on anything, but just push against the wall. And by pushing against the wall, it gave me incredible stability. And so depending on the conditions, it's a lot like life. As you go through life, you hit circumstances from any one of the quadrants. Maybe there's a bankruptcy, heaven forbid, or maybe there's some other kind of an event that happens to you financially, or maybe up in the core area, there's an illness that all of a sudden invades your family, and you need to reposition yourself almost on a daily basis as you go through life and its challenges. Maybe it's experiences. Maybe they're good experiences or bad experiences. Maybe you've just got the biggest sale that you've ever had in your life, and you still have to reposition yourself so you don't fall out of this and get out of balance. Or maybe it's your contribution. Am I carrying the weight of not really giving back? And that doesn't mean just writing a check, but being involved in those causes that are more important to me, and having my family involved so that together as a team we're able to really feel like and know that we're making a difference. Have that self-satisfaction that comes from knowing that you truly are making a difference. And so being able to position that in life, we call that dynamic balance. And as I finished that and the determination came down, and thinking back on it, really it is a lot like life. We adjust ourselves day by day, moment by moment, and unless we have something to hang on to, unless we have something to strengthen in each of those 4 quadrants and hang on to, we're going to be hanging on only with one appendage. And if you're hanging on with only one appendage, that's a very difficult way to climb. But if you can use all of your appendages to dynamically be in balance as you're going up, your arms, and putting your arms in different positions, your legs in different positions, depending on the circumstances, you will travel faster and you add velocity to what you're achieving. All right, so let's tie it together. So when you really think about it, and you think about the concepts of true wealth, clarity brings energy. When you know where you're going, then you get this immense energy. If you want to increase energy in your home, if you want to increase energy in your life, you want to increase energy in your family, with your work, give them clarity, and energy always goes up. That's always a byproduct. So you start with clarity. Secondly is that dynamic balance. Think of the mountain climber, getting all 4 of his appendages working for you. Get all 4 quadrants working for you, adjusting to every time and condition that's working so that you're not getting out of focus. You're not hanging on with just one thing, your financial quadrant. You're able to really put it all together. Then as you move into focus, focus is that ability to zero in on those activities that generate the greatest results. And focus always gives us efficiency, eliminates the waste, so we're able to stay focused on those activities that generate the greatest results. You got those 3 together, guess what? You've got confidence. Greatest confidence you could ever have, and probably grateful confidence is one of the greatest attractions. You will attract greater opportunities into your life, you'll attract greater relationships into your life. Now you're talking about true wealth. What are those things that are left over when the money's gone?